got the one in the shade.
Okay, thank you.
Another one in my
Get you a copy.
Sorry, you know what for me? Active.
Yes, we're ready to go. The meeting of the board is now called to order. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone to our meeting tonight, and we'll start by approving our agenda. Is there a motion, please, on page 2?
President Van Antwerp, I move that the Board of Education approve the agenda as printed.
Thank you, Terry. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. We'll proceed with our agenda as printed and start with the superintendent's report. Thank you, Mark.
Yep, thank you, Randy. We have our first update is a bond project update, and Johnny Edwards will present that.
Thank you, Superintendent Beelang, as well as members of the Board of Education. First, I want to just share that Thursday night for the McCamley Night dedication. Thursday is the first home football game at Portage Central High School. There will be a pregame dedication to the new McCamley Night field. The game has been moved to an 8 p.m. kickoff due to the anticipated temperature. The ceremony will start around 7:40 p.m. A commemorative plaque has been installed once you enter the stadium in front of the Mustang. The plaque includes a bio of both Mr. McCamley as well as Coach Knight, along with a brief history or description of the field. We're still awaiting some materials for the panels as well as the letters to arrive for the entrance archway. We expect the installation of that portion to occur in the next several weeks. Also at Portage Northern, we have a curtain wall project. All of the siding has been completed. That project was designed to complement the exterior look of the natatorium as well as North Middle School. The windows that were formerly had the red trim have all been replaced. There is some work remaining to caulking and sealing. The last portion of the project will be the painting of the red brick, and that painting should begin any day now. For those who have passed by that red brick sticks out now, so I've gotten a lot of questions, but yes, the brick will be painted. Also at Northern, we have our parking lot project. That project, we had the parking lot top coated today. Striping should be done by the end of this week, and we are a couple of weeks out. There is some fencing required, as well as some work around landscaping. At Central Elementary School, the sanitary and water line are now past the south side of the existing school where the temporary playground will be. The temporary playground is being brought up to the current elevation. The contractor for that playground will be setting up the equipment this week. Temporary power is coming in this week. We will continue the work with the water main and the storm work. If all goes well, we hope to start on the footings as well this week. Moving over to Haverhill, the water main on site is almost complete. The Manhattan Street water main is subgrade, and that sewer is undergoing a 30-day testing period, which includes work around chlorination and water. The playground at Haverhill has been relocated. It will be finished by the end of this week, and we will also hope to finish the water and storm work within the next couple of weeks. So that's a brief update around some of our projects. Now I would like to just to show a little video to the board and the community depicting some of the work that's been done this summer. So there's no music or anything, so I'll narrate it for you as it plays. We've broken ground on our new schools. This is a rendering of what Central Elementary School will look like, as well as Haverhill. Groundbreaking occurred in May for Haverhill, as well as June for Central. Here's a photo showing the relocation of our playground. The board also allowed us to purchase some furniture. This is just a sample of what some potential furniture could look like in the new school. So Haverhill and Central L teachers, a couple of select teachers will have an opportunity just to see some of that work. This is a before picture of Northern High School, as you remember it, working with one of our contractors to replace the red trim window. And now you can see how the new entrance or exterior look, and that brick will be painted. Here was work with our contractor for the Northern AEF with some asphalt there, more to come. Also, we refinished some of our floors. This is the igloo at Portage Northern. This is the before picture. Here you'll see one of our contractors sanding the floor. This happens roughly every 10 years. So this is how the floor looks now. The stable gym floor, which has 3 basketball courts, 4 volleyball courts, and now this is how the stable looks now after being refinished. The board also approved weight room equipment at both high schools. This is Northern High, that's Central High. That's what those spaces looked like before we started the renovation. And now this is work during the installation of a new floor, as well as new equipment, fresh paint jobs for both schools, and some new lighting at Northern's weight room. And this is what the new equipment looks like now at Northern and Central. Both schools have the same quantity of equipment. And then lastly, we put in some new wayfindings at Portage West Middle School. So that's a brief highlight, and we'd like to thank our community for their support for a building site and sinking fund, as well as for work around our bond and supporting that. And then lastly, board, we will unveil to you tonight 3D rendering that will be at both schools. Let's see if this one works. I have to tell it to work. I was on a roll. And it won't come up. But let me explain what you would see. We'll have it ready by Wednesday. But essentially, we'll have a QR code system for both schools. And students and parents will be able to scan the QR code, see elements of the school, and they can use their phone to kind of do a virtual reality. But actually, we're going to have a virtual reality goggles for the students, and they'll be able to walk in an empty room as if they were in the actual school. So that's what's coming, and we'll unveil those tomorrow at the open house and Wednesday for the staff. That concludes my presentation. Maybe afterwards I can show you what I intended to show you. I'll be happy to answer any questions from the board.
Johnny, we sure know what you've been doing this summer. Thank you.
Yes, most certainly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Johnny. Our second update is on our website revamp and our app. So Michelle Karpinski is here to take the lead on that. Michelle?
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Beeling, and DAS. We're thrilled to be here tonight to give you an update on our new website and app. As you may recall, earlier this year we were before you. I think I'm getting some feedback here. We were before you to talk about our communications audit that was conducted by the National School Public Relations Association. They provided us with a number of recommendations on how we can continuously improve to communicate with our constituents, our community, our teachers, and our students and staff. And so we've been plugging along on that as the months have gone by and over the summer, and I hope at some point we can give you a more in-depth presentation about that. But tonight we really wanted to focus on what was the biggest project so far in that communication audit, and that was updating our website and implementing a new app. And the person who really did much of the work on this is Kayla Miller, our communications coordinator.
And so I'm going to turn the floor over to you, but before I do, if you have your cell phones on you, please take them out. We don't normally encourage that during class, but tonight we're going to make an exception. And you might get a little message from us here in a second. So, which is part of our new updated communications. Kayla was able to cue that up right on her phone as we were standing in the back of the room, and hopefully now it's on your phone as a text message. So, but there's a lot more great features and functions, and so I'm going to turn it over to Kayla so she can explain to you.
Thank you, board and community, for having me this evening. Like Michelle said, my name is Kayla Miller. I'm the communications coordinator. I've been in this role for just over a year. And what we have ahead of you here is the QR code for the new app. So whether you have an Apple or an Android, it'll open your app store and you can download the app for PPS. So far, we've gotten some really great feedback from the staff who are responsible for posting to our website and sharing alerts to families. So I have one staff in particular who doesn't consider herself to be very tech savvy at all, and she was super excited about the new system and the way that we can upload things to the website. She was like, this is really easy, really user friendly, so I was really happy to hear that from her. Oh, I got a couple people scanning here. I don't want to move forward without. Okay, are we good? All right, so I launched all the marketing materials on August 9th, the week of August 9th, and Aptitude provided us both digital and electronic marketing materials. So we have like social media stuff, website promotion things. We also have posters that were printed and sent to all the buildings, so those were up for like open house and orientation this week, so families can be introduced to the app as well. And I did want to mention, so we're really proud of our app download numbers so far. So a couple days after we started promoting it, we had already 1,900 app downloads. Only 6 days later, we had doubled that, and it was up to 4,000. And then I checked in today, and we have 4,390 app downloads. So that's only since August 9th. So we're really happy with how the community is responding to that, and they seem to be very excited to have that other way to get information from PPS. So we also had a video that we shared via social media and on the website, and then again the posters to hang in the school building. So we're going to kind of dive in. This is what your app would look like on your home screen on an iPhone, right there in the center. When you open it up, this is the landing page, this is the home screen, and you have your feed, which is kind of a news feed that you can get things like, we've been sharing things about the app, but also things like back to school at PPS with a page with lots of information about orientation and open house. We put news up there about free meals for students so that they could understand why they're getting free meals from the state of Michigan budget. We've promoted the ELA, English Language Arts Night, that's coming up soon, so that newsfeed gives us a chance to promote directly to our families. You also see right on your homepage your events. So for me personally, I have it set to the district events, so you have your Board of Ed meeting, the ELA Family Night there. If I was an Angling Road parent, I might have the Angling Road events and the district events there as well. So this is our menu. And again, this is the district menu. Each of the schools have their own kind of menu, but you've got your feed, events, staff directory, which was another big improvement that we were able to sync that with our HR department and their systems, so that rather than having to manually update those and having them be outdated, oftentimes when teachers change buildings, things like that, they were always being left incorrect. So this gives us a way to more quickly and more accurately keep that staff directory going. We have documents. We included a visit website link on there as well, and then notifications. Another huge high point for us are the language preferences. So the new website and app are translatable into any language you can think of, more than we probably have in the district, but it's, they're just all out there. So in the app, families can set their language preference. In this case, I set it to Spanish. And this is what the home feed looks like in Spanish. So we don't have to do anything to translate the communications that we're putting out. It's automatically translated in the app. And I can show you on the website as well how to do that translation there so that the whole website is in your preferred language. Another cute, important piece I want to cue up here is default organization. So if I'm a parent and I have one child at Mooresbridge, I can set the app to always open to the Mooresbridge homepage so that I'm automatically seeing Mooresbridge events, Mooresbridge staff directory, all that kind of stuff. If I have parents or if I have children in multiple buildings, like a lot of our families do, I can set multiple buildings to be like my favorites, right? So I have a North Middle and a Northern High student, I can have both of those right there rather than having to go to the district site, then always navigate to your individual school building. Families can also set push notifications, so they can opt in to receive push notifications from every building if they would like me. And if they have, again, a Mooresbridge child and they want to get notified from Mooresbridge, they can opt into that as well. Another thing from the internal piece, so for us, if there's a snow day, we can push that notification to all the buildings. So whether parents are opted in for Mooresbridge or Northern High or wherever, we can make sure that they're notified of a snow day, things like that. So this is your feed, and again, a few of the things we've talked about recently are the school meals being free into the 23-24 school year, the ELA family night, and kind of just introducing the app. So that's the feed, that's what that looks like. The staff directory, so this is what it looks like from the district side, and then each of the buildings have individual staff directories as well. When you click on someone's name, it gives you the option to call and or email directly from your phone. So when you hit email, it'll open up your default email or app, whether that's whatever, Gmail, whatever you have, it opens that up automatically, and then you can call them as well. Events, kind of self-explanatory. You can share it, you can add it to your personal calendar, you can open it in Maps. So when we set the location for the Board of Education meeting, you hit navigate in Maps or open in Maps, and it'll take you to Central High in your Bird Map app. So the event calendar was another one, and we made sure that the district calendar and was fed to all the buildings as well. So they have things like Labor Day and Board of Ed meetings and all that kind of stuff in addition to their specific schools. So the last piece is the documents. So right from the app, families can view the board approved budget for that year. They can see all of the transparency reporting stuff that we're required to post. That's all right there in documents. They can also find their school supply lists. Those are listed in documents on all of the elementary pages. So right from their phone, they can find that school supply list and view that right from there. So yeah, before we dive in, is there any questions before I pop over to the actual website? Good. I'm gonna just do this from your computer here. So this is our new home screen. We put up a back to school at PPS kind of banner in response to lots of questions we were getting about open house and things like that. It's similar to how our old site was in terms of your menu. You have your school choices here, district, elementary, middle, high. Here's that translate button. So again, if I want to see the whole website in Spanish, I can hit that. It will take a second. Now the whole website's in Spanish. So that's a really good feature. It's a really good, it's an equitable piece that we were missing for a long time. And so I'm really proud of that piece for our families. So I'm not gonna keep it in Spanish. I hope that's okay. I'm gonna go back to English. So right on the homepage, we have quick links for enrollment, the calendar, and students, parents, families, community, Board of Ed, and employment. So those were the things that we identified as being the most frequented by families. And I made landing pages for students and parents and families. So if I'm a new family in the district, I come here. I've got some commonly requested things like food service, transportation, Skyward access, curriculum, all that kind of stuff. We've got other helpful links on there as well. So those quick links are good for families. Here's the Board of Ed, just so you all can see where your pictures are. So you got your board, I've got your agendas, your live stream, policies, bylaws, all that stuff. It's all migrated from the old site, but just it's a little bit more user-friendly and easier to navigate around. The other, so the homepage, you have your events, again, Board of Ed meeting tonight, ELA thing later this week, first day of school, Labor Day, some of these upcoming events. You have your news feed, same things we talked about earlier, and then you have the live feed, which is kind of like a Twitter feed, kind of for shorter little snippets of things. We have a little Why Us section, so I don't know what that is. Anyway, we have a Why Us section that kind of is just a few points of pride for the district. And again, if you're a prospective family and you come and you click on our website, am I loud enough? Everybody hear me? Okay. Yeah. So you come to our website, you're a prospective family, you're like, oh, what's Portage all about? You can kind of hit these high points right there on the thing. We also, I've linked OK to Say on all of our district sites, which if you're not familiar is the state of Michigan kind of hotline for students in crisis and they want to report something. So that's on the bottom of every school page as well as the district page, so that students have a way to find that very easily. Over here you've got how to download the app, and you have our social links as well for Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Menu, pretty self-explanatory, staff directory, news, events, dining, that's a one that people want to see often, documents, these quick links, Board of Ed stuff, be informed, that's all the same things that we're required to post on that website, things like bids and proposals, mandatory notices, things like that. So I'll just show you one of the schools just so you have that. What's my favorite? Mooresbridge. Not my favorite. This girl's just really cute. It was a good picture. I was trying to take a picture of the little boy in the back, and then she just kind of. So it's one of my favorites. So all of the elementary sites are going to look really similar. All the middles are going to look similar, and the highs are going to hopefully look similar too, just to give our parents an easier experience when they move through the district. Every site has the school year calendar. The student health and well-being is a new page, and I can show you guys that. They've got an information page, and then the school supply lists are right there on the homepage because that's what we get calls about, and you guys know that. So people love to know their school supply lists. Events, news, live feed, all that kind of stuff. So I'll show you the student health and well-being page from the district site here. The student health and well-being page was something that I kind of dreamed up after realizing like we have a lot of supports for students that people don't know about. And I had been approached by the elementary engagement specialist, and they said we need to have a place where people can where we can explain what we do and why we're here and what kind of resources are for people. So I gathered a bunch of things, and we thought, okay, we need a place for this. So these are supports that live through the educational supports and intervention site. Elementary engagement specialists have their own page to kind of explain that, OK to Say, and then Brad Galen's favorite, the emotional support dogs. And then we have all their important student family resources there, and that can grow. But that's things like the First Issue Fund, food banks, things like that, that are external organizations that support our students. So that's kind of a good spin through the website. I don't know if there's anything else you would like to see or have questions about before I hand it back to Barb.
I like it. I think it's great.
Thank you.
We're very excited about it. Very proud of it.
Lots of good work went into that. Thank you very much.
I have been visiting various pages over the last couple weeks using it, and I have found it much easier to navigate than the previous site. So thank you very much for all you've done.
Yeah, you're welcome. And we did. We, Apogee kind of by default just migrates your old site onto a new site, and I knew the old site needed to be, like the menus needed to be changed, and we needed to really think through and be proactive about how we were presenting that information to families, and so that was my labor of love for the last few months, so I'm really happy for that to be finished.
And this is a work, this is something that can always grow and change. We have the complete control over it, so which is also exciting. So we can change up the pictures. If something isn't working right, if people aren't finding something, we can move it somewhere else. And so I think we'll find it to be really flexible and adaptable for us. So. And at some point we will do a push notification test way before the first snow day, so everybody can make sure it's all working right. We thought we'd wait for school to get started before we do that, so yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. One other thing, Johnny did mention that the Thursday night games, I believe both at Northern and at Central have been moved to 8 o'clock starts for the weather. The family literacy night will remain the same as it has at 6 o'clock over at the Portage District Library. So that opens up that time slot without as much conflict there. And if you've driven up and down Westnedge here in front of the school, you'll notice there's construction going on. We're told that that construction will be done tomorrow. However, the final paving of that road will not take place until after Central L opens up. So there'll be patches there. They took out that one pedestrian island. It was located in front of Central Middle, and then did some other improvements along the way, including changes to the bike path. So hopefully we'll get traffic through there a little more easily after Wednesday, or after Tuesday, excuse me. And with that, can we move into board education?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, as you know, from time to time, we bring topics to the board that are helpful for your decision making and maybe questions that you get. And tonight, we want to talk a little bit about our efforts around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and Dr. Janine Madsen-Gearhart is here to give you a little update on that.
Why, thank you. I brought a lot of fans with me here tonight. Had I known that this was going to be such a large crowd, I would have put in a couple of jokes and stuff, but today's no jokes. I am very pleased to be here. Thank you, Superintendent Beelang and Board Trustees. It's been a while since I've been in front of you to talk about DEI. I look at Bo and I think the last time we spoke, Bo said, "Don't be a stranger," and it's been 2 years, so I'm not a stranger any longer again. So thank you for the invitation. There have been a lot of work. There's been a lot of work that's been going on in the district that I'd like to highlight. It's going to be at a 30-foot view. 30,000-foot view. Now, we're not going to get into the weeds today. I could, but I'm not going to. So just a reminder for all of us, and we have a lot of new board members, so you did not see me the first time around. So I'll just start with a little history. I can give you some information on what we're working on today and some of our goals for the next 3 to 5 years. Okay? So, and if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them if I can, and if I cannot, I will definitely find the answer out for you later. Obviously, our mission at Portage Public Schools is we're going to educate all students to their potential, and we definitely are focused on an exceptional continuous improvement learning culture for all with high expectations. Coming to you as a special education director, of course, we definitely believe with that. We believe in that, as well as all my colleagues. So while I'm the only one here presenting now, I do want to give recognition that we do work very closely with the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Department. I am just the one that gets to be elected to speak today. A couple of years ago, probably in 2017, and I'm just going to get my notes so I do not forget anything, we started a relationship with the Great Lakes Equity Center, which is a nationally funded center that is centered around the Midwest. There are other places, but we focus with the Great Lakes Center in the Midwest. We had multiple people participate in trainings to take a look at our systems and to help us identify and organize our system in a way that we were reaching all students. So with that, we don't think that's a lofty goal, but we also know that all students are not coming to school exactly ready to sit down and learn and take in everything that we have to bestow on them. And I'm sure that most of the people here would say that was the old days. So we have focused a lot on student engagement, looking at our student advisory committee that Superintendent Beelang holds on a monthly basis, looking at their feedback, looking at feedback both from the high schools students. We also have student engagement surveys. We use that data. So we have a lot, and we also use the adult the parent engagement survey for the perception data from a perspective lens. I'm not going to get into the weeds, but I want to just kind of put it in there, is that we do have data reviews multiple times a year where we are also looking at academic data, we're looking at attendance data, we're looking at disciplinary data, we look at how many students are eligible for special education, we look at disciplinary results in tandem with special education data, as well as any student who may have identified a disability. So while I'm not going to cover that, I do want to just kind of throw that in there. You do see some of that data, but it really is, from a building and a district level, something that our teams, both our general ed teachers and our special education teachers, in tandem with the ESI, Educational Supports and Intervention, and Curriculum and Instruction Assessment, take a look at on a regular basis. It's very important for us to look at that perception data, and we also need to take a look at our academic data and our performance data, making sure that we have practices that are engaging for our students. Fast forward a couple of years, we've had multiple opportunities to work with MDE, with the African American Student Initiative, which they have presented many opportunities for us to work across the state level to learn about different ways to engage our students, and also thinking about how do we provide an opportunity for all of our students to be champions wherever they come from, wherever they come from, and who they are. We want to celebrate everybody that comes through our door. So with our data, is it this? I'm actually talking about it. So fast forward a couple of years, you have listened to Dr. Pasco, Dr. Mackenzie Sheehan, and Dr. Kelly Jensenius talk about our continuous improvement plan. So what has happened over the last couple of years with our connection, as we have aggregated the data that we have, we've brought all of our buildings together along with our administrators to set some goals that we are focused on in the district. One of them is we're looking at academic data and making sure that all of our students are academically successful. But we're also looking at the culture and climate. Those are our two overarching umbrella goals. So looking at culture and climate means something different to just about everybody if you ask. We all have our perceptions and we all have our experiences of how we come to schools. For our purposes for the board education today, what we would like you to know is that we are exploring, honoring, and championing all of our students. We're focused on inclusionary practices so that students who are in our classroom feel wanted, feel loved, feel a part of the community, and also have some meaningful engagement when they're in the classroom, no matter what classroom you're in. To do that, we worked with Dr. Holly and his organization, which I wrote down because it's an acronym that I know you're going to be surprised, but sometimes I can't remember all of the acronyms that we throw around. But it's culturally linguistic responsive learning and engagement for students. So we have worked with him last year. We provided all of our staff, including our administrators, 3 opportunities during the year to have an introductory course through Dr. Holly's organization, with a culmination coming together in May with his visit to Portage Public Schools. We are continuing that work with Dr. Holly's organization. He is not coming not right at this time, not this week he's not coming, but we do have a 3-hour PD that is going to occur on Thursday that's going to further get down and unpack how do we engage all of our students that we see in our classroom. So these are really good research-based strategies. They are something that probably all of us as teachers learned at one point or another, but as we all know, the day gets crazy and sometimes time gets away from us, and we always need some good reminders. I kind of liken it to a health journey. Okay, I know I'm supposed to eat healthy, I know I'm supposed to work out, and I know that if I do so, then I will have long-term health benefits. Same thing with children, not that I follow that, of course, but same thing with children. We know engagement strategies that work with students. We know that we need to implement them, and we need to check ourselves to make sure that we're implementing that for all of our students on a daily basis so that they have the inclusionary and experience that all students deserve. Okay. There are some other, excuse me one moment here, technology problems here. I do want to highlight a couple of other leadership academies that we are sending our administrators to this year, that we are working with MDE once again to participate in the Culturally Responsive School Leadership Institute Academy with Dr. Muhammad Khalifa. That is a 3-day conference that we had a couple of our administrators participate in May, and last week we had 3 other administrators participate. That really helps us as leaders understand how to support our teachers so that our teachers can support our students. The plan for the year is to be sure that all of our administrators are participating in that academy, with a longer term plan that we bring that academy right to Portage Public Schools so that everybody in Kalamazoo County can benefit at one point or another. The last thing I wanted to highlight for you is I mentioned at the beginning with the historical perspective, the Great Lakes Equity Center is now online again. Not that they weren't running, but COVID put a damper on live in-person going to trainings. So they are back online providing in-person trainings. And so we do have Dr. Erica Driver, we have Sydney Bailey, and I think Tama, I'm not sure, but I think there's a representative from Central High School that has committed as well, that we're going to continue to start having those trainings become a regular booster, if you will, to help all of us remember the good practices that we need to do for our students. Okay, lastly, I did promise a little bit more on that. And Kayla made it look so easy while she's flipping through all of the technology, and the old gal here is a little bit slower today, but that's okay. The last thing that I would say is that our work as educators is never done. Kind of like our health journeys, we're never done. We're never done learning. Instructional practices change. Populations change, schools change, we get new schools, we take schools offline, we have new people coming into our community, we have people leaving our community. There's always change that we can expect. So what I would like to say is that we have a comprehensive plan, but it's never enough. It's never enough for our students. That's why we have that continuous improvement journey. We're not on a journey to get to a place that's going to be the end of the journey. We're really in a mode of continuous improvement. So as I mentioned to you, the continuous improvement opportunities that we are providing this year for our staff, we know that that will look differently, and it will change over time based upon what is needed and what is identified by our teachers and our administrators. So with that continuous journey, I leave you with a little bit of an opening for questions, or if you don't, that's fine too.
I do have a question. Has there been any focus on the increase of diversity in the teaching staff and its impact of students, and have there been ideas thrown around to attract more diversity?
Yes, that's a great question, and yes, we have. We have the last, I would say, 3 years, although that's always been on the forefront, that we definitely know the value of teachers and adults looking like our student body. I would say the last 2 years we've done a concerted effort to recruit and retain students who may not look, or who, I don't know the percentage, but we have worked very hard to increase the number of people of color who are coming in, or people who are connected with students in a way that maybe we haven't looked for in the past. So there is a concerted effort. I would also defer to our Human Resource Department, because he does have a lot of knowledge in that area.
Thank you.
Not a question, but just say this is hard work and it's very important work. And what I hear is happening are efforts that are in harmony with the values of the community. So it's very appreciated.
Thank you.
For such a complete overview.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, Janine.
That was easy. Thanks.
Okay, we'll move to our comments and communications section. And, first of all, our comments from citizens, and we have some folks that would like to speak tonight. And Terry will read our guidelines for public comment.
Portage Public Schools Board of Education, public comment at board meetings. The board welcomes community input at our board meetings and recognizes the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. To permit fair and orderly public expression, please conform to these guidelines when addressing the board. Attendees must register their intention to speak during the public participation portion of the meeting by completing the speaker registration form at the beginning of the meeting. Individuals may not register others to speak. Speakers will be recognized by the presiding officer and may not be called in the order in which they have signed up to speak. Speakers are requested to state their name, address, and group affiliation if applicable. Limit comments to 3 minutes. Direct all comments to the board and not to staff or to other participants. Speakers may not yield any of their speaking time to others. Provide a written copy of your comments and supporting documentation to the board secretary if available. Present your comments in a respectful and professional manner to model the behavior expected of Portage students. Refrain from mentioning any student by name. Contact the superintendent directly regarding personnel matters. Board of Education meetings are held for the purpose of conducting the business of the school district and are not considered to be community meetings. Board members are not obligated to respond to issues raised during public comment. Normally, such issues are referred to or followed up on by our administrators.
And before we start tonight, I just want to inform everyone that the PEA has elevated the Angling Road situation to a formal complaint, and that is governed by Board-Approved Policy 9130, which speaks to the procedures that need to be followed in matters regarding a complaint against a professional staff member. And we haven't discussed this as a board at all, but I just want to say, based on my experience on the board, I welcome this development because it begins to address the matter at the appropriate level, putting people who are closest to the situation in focus to work on the issues. And I think it's a good step. I just wanted to let everybody know that because we may have some speakers about Angling Road this evening. And we want to welcome our first speaker, Lisa Coop.
We're not good. Oh, playing some music here. Help, Barb, help. That's crazy.
We'll use the clock. Just go ahead.
My name is Lisa Cope. I live at 5615 Texas Drive. I've taught first grade at Lake Center since 2004. I'm getting ready to start my 23rd year of teaching. And I'm here to talk about how financially my family has been impacted in the last couple of years. In the summer of 2022, I was diagnosed with celiac disease. I had to begin a gluten-free diet right away. If you haven't had to eat a strict diet like that, then you may not know how expensive it is to eat gluten-free. On top of that, my husband and I have 2 teenage boys. One beginning his senior year here at Central, and the other is a sophomore this year. They are both very active and participate in marching band. One is there right now. They just left water polo. So they're very involved in Portage activities. On August 7th, my 10th grader informed me that eating season had begun, meaning the number of calories that they burn goes way up, so the number of calories that they need to eat also goes way up. We laughed at the way that he described it, and then we stopped laughing. With eating season and the gluten-free diet, our grocery bills are incredibly high. During each pay period, there are at least 2 trips to Meijer, 1 trip to Costco. I'm happy when the Meijer receipts show less than $250 and the Costco receipts show less than $300. Inflation and eating healthier has made a significant impact on our finances. So why did I decide to speak tonight? I wanted to give a personal story to you guys of how important it is to receive a fair contract before school starts. I am also very hopeful for a financial increase that will truly make a difference for your teachers, for their families, and in my case, 2 of your students. The free lunch is greatly appreciated. However, if you've seen the portions, they're not that big, and so they'll still have to bring lunch and buy more lunch on top of what's free. I love my job. I can't imagine doing anything else. Please give us a fair raise and do it soon so that we can start the school year without the no contract yuckiness hanging over us. And then in closing, I just want to invite all of you into my classroom. Like I said, I've been in Portage for a long time, and some of you probably didn't even know my name before tonight. So please come visit, see the incredible things that happen in our classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Lisa. Our next speaker is Nicole Ailes, please. Welcome.
I'm Nicole Ailes. I live at 1448 Oshimo Ridge Trail, Kalamazoo. And I teach at Portage Northern High School in the Educational Supports and Intervention Department, or formerly known as Special Education. I've taught for this is my 16th year, and I just want to share with you my thoughts and emotions right now as a teacher. I love watching my kids learn. I've taught elementary, I've taught high school. I love watching them grow, especially in the high school level when they start becoming young adults and they start discovering who they really are. I value the time. I really do value the time I have with them, and I know that I can make an immeasurable impact in their lives, whether they sometimes know it or don't know it. My son's teachers have made him smile and laugh and discover his passions, and have been there to help him navigate through elementary and middle school. I've embraced my students as my own. I model patience, I model compassion, I model learning from my own mistakes and beyond. I've been very grateful to have these authentic relationships with kids that positively impact their future. And when you spend 40+ hours a week with students who are homeless or supported, who are stressed or happy, who are anxious, which a lot of them are right now, or confident, it can be a lot to handle mentally. Some days we struggle more than others, but we're not going to quit. And it can be difficult for families to find community services or get off wait lists so they can get desperately needed resources. In my career, I help manage those things. Every day in my job and so many others, we just love unconditionally. And we love our students on the days they just need to sit and cry, and on the days they need a cheerleader to root them on. And I'm saying all of this just to remind others in our community that we are here to make change, and I teach our kids that they have the power to do the same. And all students need to be valued, and I know we agree on that. I just want to also agree that all teachers be valued as well, and that we can be respected in that manner. We want to be heard, just like we sit and listen to our students, and the love and respect will trickle down. I'm just asking the district to please consider the positive changes that we're asking for within a contract. I create contracts with my students as well, and I try to make sure that their voice is heard, and I value their needs, and it's a team effort, and I know we can do this together. I'm really looking forward to having this settled, so again, so we can have that calm start to the year and just be focused on kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker tonight is Mr. Kozian.
Good evening, my name is Dennis Kozan. I live at 5139 Maple Ridge, and I'm very lucky to be the band director at West Middle School. I'm here tonight to share my concerns with the current state of contract negotiations between the Portage Education Association and the PPS administration. PPS teachers are asking for a fair and equitable contract for the 23-24 school year. Our bargaining team has submitted over 10 proposals, with each proposal falling within the constraints of the overall budget currently at PPS. Unfortunately, our admin has not shown the same urgency at the bargaining table, as we do not have a contract in place. The admin team took the entire month of July off. No negotiations took place. Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, inflation has skyrocketed. Yet the raise offered to our teachers is minimal. Like many people in the community, we have children. Some of us have older relatives that depend on us. We are paying student loans, college tuition for our kids, and for our own continuing education. We are paying more for our rent or mortgage and all the other rising costs of living. Like everyone, we deserve respect and to earn a wage that can sustain a family. The current proposal by the admin team would give the bulk of our employees an extra $38 per paycheck. Think about that, that's only $76 per month. Yet one of my colleagues just had their rent raised by $250. How can that teacher afford to live this way? And this is a teacher with a master's degree. Due to the historic increase in student funding this year, PPS will gain an additional $3.9 million in our budget. With this huge increase, we now have over $14 million in our rainy day fund. This money is simply sitting unused. Our admin team is refusing to spend this money in the classroom and on all of our students. While all of us try to build a savings account in our personal lives, PPS can and should spend some of this money. We've been bargaining since May. It's time for the admin team to settle a fair contract with fair wages. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cozy. And our next speaker this evening is Beth Taylor, please.
Hi, I'm Beth Taylor. My address is 52219 Sheridan. I've been teaching for 33 years, and I want to talk about the contract. I was born to be a teacher. I have been lucky enough to love my job for most of my years. My greatest joy in my job are the connections I make with my students and families. I have a strong commitment to making all my students feel loved and valued and part of my classroom. In the past 5 years, my life has changed a bit. I went through a pretty tough divorce. Naively, I thought, well, I'm lucky. I have this great job. Guess what? You can't really survive on a teacher's salary. My son told me it was the worst financial decision. I was heartbroken at this, thinking happiness is a person's goal. I was never focused on money. Well, guess what? Money matters. I have 2 other jobs. The economy I know stinks. Money consumes me now. I have a career, not a job. I have a master's. I've won awards. It shouldn't be this way. The idea that the administration contracts can be ratified before teachers, secretaries, bus drivers, and custodial staff is ludicrous to me. Without any of these positions, schools don't operate. If you don't have the funds to pay these people, then you should not be taking pay raises. This means you didn't do your job. We continue to get higher class sizes and get the job done, not because it's good for kids. It builds animosity between teachers when they are paid the same, but in one first grade, it has 17 students, and in the other, 26. When did 26 students in a lower L classroom be okay with you? It is at the cost of your teachers' mental health and the profession. You have teachers leaving the profession at the highest rate ever. I believe it is also inhumane to have students and teachers in buildings with temperatures in the 90s for a full day of school, let alone trying to learn. You obviously have no idea the effect it has on some people. Rashes, migraines, respiratory problems, heat exhaustion are all the effects of extreme heat. Teachers go home and they're absolutely tapped for the day. They're useless to their families. It just didn't used to be this way. I believe communication and respect between the administration building and teachers is at its worst. I remember when I was first hired and Mr. Rickers came to me middle of the year to visit and see how I was doing, how my first year was going. A year or two later, he was in the office with a huge bouquet of flowers. When I asked at lunch what it was for, he said he was visiting a secretary that had made it to 30 or 25 years, and he wanted to commemorate that milestone. Does that happen now? I don't think so. Building relationships and making people feel valued matters. This year I found out that cafeteria staff cannot work in the same building as their children. I was shocked and saddened. I emailed many administrators about it. Mr. Beelang, Mr. Pasco. Did she say I'm finished?
3 minutes. More than 3 minutes are up.
Could you just summarize your points?
Sure.
I emailed Mr. Pasco, Mr. Beelang, Ms. Jensenius. No one responded to me. Not one person. I grabbed Mr. Rickers in the hall, or Mr. Beelang in the hall, and told him about it. I still haven't heard if it was resolved. It makes me sad because all of our staff work with their children and it builds community. I invite any of you to come to my open house tomorrow from 5 to 6:30 in room 10 at Mooresbridge and see what I did over the last 2 weeks to get ready for open house. What everybody here I'm sure did.
Thank you, Beth. Our next speaker is Jeff Wykrant.
I'm Jeff Wykrant. I live at 3407 Croydon Avenue, Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm here to talk not about the contract, not about anything of that sort. I'm here to let you guys know that I'm the woodworking teacher over at Northern. Later on the agenda, you've got some discussion about a machine that's going to be hopefully purchased for my classroom. Letting you know that I'm here to answer any questions if you have any for me. The nameplates that you have in front of you, all of those are made by my students. Most notably, the machine that we're going to be replacing is the one that was used to make the seal on the governor's podium for her inauguration. So it's things like that that we do in the classroom with the kids and the experiences that we give them. So I'm here to answer any questions you have. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for being here, Jeff. Our next speaker is Vicki Hoover.
Vicki Hoover, 10481 Woodlawn Drive. I am a recently retired Portage teacher, young five, so I brought my pictures, and a member of this community. And I'm here this evening to speak about our fund balance, sometimes referred to as our rainy day fund. Over the years, when I sometimes attend board meetings, I've heard the board congratulate administration about our fund balance, about our fiscal responsibility, which has led to this fund balance. But as a community member, I take a different view of this. I vote for our millages. I encourage my family and friends to support bond issues. But I want to see my tax dollars being used in the way that they're intended to be used. Why should our tax dollars be sitting in the district's piggy bank? By the board's policy, I understand that that our fund balance should be at about 7%. But even at our lowest point in the last 10 years, it was at 9%. And currently, as I understand it, our unassigned fund balance is near 12%. Over $14 million of our community's money is sitting unused. I've sat at the negotiating table for the PEA for the past 4 contracts, and every year we have to beg for the most minimum pay increase. As inflation continues to rise, food costs for the schools rise, fuel costs rise for our buses, building costs rise, and we're told that we can't afford to be paid better. But we're just expected to accept that these same costs that increase for the schools don't affect us. We have the same costs. We're trying to support our families with increasing gas costs, increasing food costs, increasing housing costs. And we're not given the same respect that the district is expected to have to cover these cost of living and inflation increases. And again, as you sit on your piggy bank, it's as if we're asking to take money out of your personal pocket instead of our own tax dollars. As members of the community, an increase in our salary also benefits this community. We want to buy cars, take our families out to dinner, and purchase houses in the community. And yet the 1% and 2% increases that we're being offered doesn't allow us to do this, let alone meet the cost of basic living expenses, as several people have shared. Our unassigned fund balance that you're sitting on should be used for the purpose of our children. Things like reducing our class sizes. So we're one of the few contracts in the area that do not have class size language in our contract. I looked at every school in our county and a number in West Michigan, and we are one of the few who have no class size language. It should be used to help reduce the workload for some of our teachers. It should be used to increase the pay for our teachers and counselors and custodians and secretaries and all of our staff that make our schools work. It's called a rainy day fund. I think a rainy day is long past. A tsunami has arrived in our community and in the education community. At a time when trying to hire and retain teachers is more difficult than ever, our board needs to look at our fund balance and put it where it benefits our students and our staff.
Thank you, Vicki. Our next speaker is Chris Furlong.
I'm Chris Furlong. I'm representing the Portage Education Association as the president tonight. 711 Gladys Street, Portage, Michigan. Mr. Snyder, last school board meeting, you praised Superintendent Beelang for being the gold standard in superintendents. You talked about all the great things he did and how oftentimes other superintendents reached out for him. If we're the gold standard in Kalamazoo County, then how come our teachers aren't funded correctly? How come people around us continue to get contracts of 10%, 5%, and we continue to get nothing? Our teachers want to be appreciated, our teachers want to be valued, and our teachers want to be heard. If we're the gold standard, then we want to be at the top of the podium, not barely crawling to get there. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Our next speaker is Danielle Morrison.
My name is Danielle Morrison, 5226 Grosse Pointe Street, Portage, Michigan. Here I am again, not letting this go. We, as parents of Angling Road students, are here again asking for new leadership at our school. I really am trying to understand the thinking behind you backing one administrator instead of an entire school full of teachers and parents. You keep saying, show us proof, give us evidence, but how are we supposed to show proof when there was no communication? Nothing written about violence, no parents allowed inside the building. Are you saying that our teachers and children are lying? I talked last time about how my 5-year-old daughter witnessed a friend get choked and a student get slammed on the floor. I didn't even get to how my 4th grader also was in a violent class. A student would repeatedly come into the classroom and when he was mad and throw anything around he could get his hands on. And he broke a window out in the classroom when he was mad. And the rest of the class was repeatedly evacuated into another classroom. But according to you, they're making this all up. And here we are again, getting ready to start a new school year. This has always been an exciting time at our house. Are my friends in my classroom? What teacher do I have? This year we've had nothing but anxiety. My 5th grader's first question after receiving his class placement was, is the violent student in my class again? I have no answer for him as of now since there's no class list posted for him. But as for my incoming first grader, yes, the violent student is once again in her class, and so is the kid that he choked. Sadly, her best friend will not be in her class because her parents pulled all 4 of their elementary-age children, not only from Angling Road, but from Portage Public Schools altogether. Also, I'm curious, how much funding is that lost in just one family that I know about that's left? So how is this first day of school going to go? I can't even imagine how toxic of a work environment this will be for our teachers with no contracts. Not only do they have a leader who they do not trust, but one who knows they all spoke up against her. Plenty of the kids whose parents spoke out have repercussions from her. One of the main things over the years that's really bothered me about Miss Yankovic was that she never takes the time to get to know any of the kids or their families. I've been at this school with her as principal for 11 years now, and she has no idea who I am, although I think she does now. Finally, I would like to say something to her personally. How are you as an educator okay with what you have done to this school? How can you walk into a building knowing that 90% of your staff don't want you as their leader? No matter how many emails you send out or how many excuses you make about your past behavior, it cannot be undone. When we send our kids to school, we are trusting the teachers and you to keep them safe and to be able to learn and thrive. This can't happen with you as our leader, and for our kids' sake, I would hope you would put them first by leaving.
Thank you, Danielle. Our last speaker tonight is Bob Picard.
May I pass these out?
Sure.
Thank you.
My name is Bob Pickard from Byron Center, Michigan. I have my prayer warriors back home. I asked them to pray that parents would be here. And tonight I got a room full of teachers. What an extra blessing this is. I have a grandson, and when he gets hurt, he comes to grandma or grandpa. And he feels loved and protected in our arms. But when he leaves for school, there's nobody to love him like we can, to protect him. I don't want any student to come in Portage Public Schools unprotected, and I don't want any teachers to come in unprotected either. I'm a retired Wyoming Public School employee, 22 blessed years as a custodian. When all these shootings started, I asked God, what can I do to protect my precious students and teachers? God has a sense of humor, because he told me, Bob, you set a record when you're in college, you hit more batters than you get getting out. So this was my protection for my staff and my students. Yeah, that's all I had. And that's what I used to protect everyone. I work at Costco gas station right now, and this all happened by accident. I had a member come in when the shooting started in Texas. He said, why don't they get veterans in our school system? I thought, you know, that's a great idea. I didn't know how to pursue that. A couple of days later, I had a gentleman come in. He was a veteran. I thanked him for his service. His name is Chris Jansen. He owns a protection agency. I said, Chris, would you be willing to get veterans in our schools to protect our teachers and our students? He said, absolutely. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm here tonight. I've got some information if anybody want it. Board members and superintendent, please look this over. I've been in contact with Angela Regas, our state representative in Byron Center. She is all on board. She'll take any phone calls. I've had a meeting with her this past May and her staff, and yeah, they will help you get some protection in. Also in Texas, they passed a bill, and it's going to happen probably right now. They've got armed guards in all their schools. And from what I understand, the school boards went to their state capital in Austin and made their proposal to the senators, congressmen, and they did pass that. So we need to do that. I don't want you guys to come in your schools any longer unprotected. You deserve the protection as well as our precious children. So please pursue this. My phone number's on here. If you have any questions, please call me. Chris is on here. We would love to sit down with you or talk with you and start something. Thank you.
I want to thank all our speakers tonight for taking time out of your evening to come and speak to us. We appreciate it. We'll move forward with comments from board trustees.
I have two. One, I wanted to thank Danielle for coming again and speaking. It was interesting. I was looking through my Facebook page, and one of my friends, their kid is going to the elementary school I went to. And she's standing in front of this banner, and it says, "Where the love of learning begins." And that really spoke to me, because I have a true love of learning, and I'm trying to instill that in my children as well. And I think about the situation that we're talking about going into Haverhill, in Angling, sorry, I misspoke. And are those children getting that love of learning? Are they feeling that? I'm glad we're going through the process, how it needs to be going through, and I hope we're able to get to a certain resolution, but keep talking to us. We need to continue to hear from our community. We are listening. It may not seem like it. The wheels don't necessarily move as fast as we'd like them to sometimes. I can tell you for sure, at least for me, I am listening. I also want to thank Bob for coming to talk, because I have been passionate about veterans in our schools. My husband is a veteran. He served overseas, several of his Army buddies. We have Fort Custer right there. Why would we not utilize this resource? So I think that's fascinating, so thank you for coming to talk.
Thank you, Emily. Anyone else?
And I'll make a very quick comment.
Yes, sir.
It's bargaining season, and as a trustee, I find myself in the position of respecting both sides sitting at the table. I suspect other trustees feel the same way. Hope folks stay at it and we get there.
I think that's the sentiment of the board. We'd like to see this thing brought together as well. Bo, thank you. Any other comments this evening? Okay, we'll move to our consent agenda on page 6. And tonight we just have a couple of things to approve the minutes of the July 24, 2023 regular business meeting. And the second thing is to approve the student trip to Europe scheduled for June 16 through 25, 2025 for the Portage Northern Social Studies group. Are there any exceptions to the consent agenda as presented? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. And we'll move to our first action item on page 16, which is the Haverhill Bond Work construction contracts. There's a motion on page 16, please.
Yes. Chairman Van Antwerp, make the motion that Education authorize Owen Ames Kimball Company to issue notices of pending award in the amounts indicated for Haverhill Elementary School, contractors and suppliers listed on the bid summary sheets, pending confirmation that all requirements of the contract documents have been met. Furthermore, upon receipt by Owen Ames Kimball Company of the appropriate documentation, contracts will be awarded to these contractors and suppliers by Portage Public Schools in the amount of $21,508,180.
Thank you, Keith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, Johnny, it's all yours.
President Van Antwerp, Superintendent Elaine, joined tonight, hopefully by some familiar faces. Dan Radford serves as project manager for OAK, and Anastasia serves as the assistant project manager, working side by side with Dan. Owners rep from Plant Moran, no stranger, Ron Heron, And then also from Tower Pinkster, we have Doug Milborn, who's a project manager, as well as Mike Gallivan, who's also a project manager for this project. As we've been informing the board about the Haverhill bids that were coming up, we recommend that the board authorize OAK to issue the notices pending for Haverhill Elementary School for those contracts. Attached, you'll see your bid summary sheets, and the total amount of awarded contracts tonight equal $21,508,180. Previously, the board has approved recommendation of a playground relocation and early site package for Haverhill Elementary School. I've been apprising the board of those updates. This recommendation is a continuation of the construction for the project. The bid went out July 17, 2023. OAK advertised on their website, their monthly newsletter to contractors, along with the district's website, other sites like Building Connected, Building Exchange for Michigan, Builders Exchange of Kalamazoo, and the Builders Exchange of Lansing. We hosted a pre-bid meeting on July 25th, 2023. 19 contractors were in attendance. During the bid phase, OAK reached out to several contractors to gauge bid coverage per bid package. We accepted bids on August 8, 2023. Those bids were read aloud and included proper bid bonds and acknowledged the schedule. Since then, our team of OAK, our Pinkster / Fielding International, Plant Moran, and our PPS staff, we've executed post-bid interviews covering all 4 categories for this project. This process was designed to select the bidder with the lowest price qualified bid to complete the scope of work in each of the categories. Each contractor had to validate bid pricing, confirm their ability to meet the schedule, and have qualified resources, confirm the work scope, discuss any unique complexities with this project. We also expressed a high level of expectations from us as an ownership group of what we have for this contract, as well as for our contractors' performance. And we're confident that this process has helped us identify the lowest price, qualified, responsible contractors for board consideration and approval. The interview process was performed over a 3-day period until the team was confident in bringing this list of recommendations to the board. Please note that in all work categories, we are awarding contracts to the lowest priced, qualified, responsible bidder. We are pleased with this process. We have robust interest in the project. We had 94 bids total. Approximately 76% were from contractors within a 1-hour time radius of Portage. We averaged 3 bids submitted per category. This analysis can be found on the attached bid tabulation summary, information for each project. We're pleased with these results, and this is largely due to the hard work of the entire team and the entire process leading up to this recommendation. Approval of this recommendation will allow us to execute contract agreements and proceed with work in the categories that will continue in September of 2023. We've also included a summary from OAK in terms of their work with this process. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dan Rathburn to walk you through the various categories.
Thank you, Johnny. Okay, as I go through the bid tabs, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me and stop me, and I will answer those, and I'll just try to point out anything that is worth pointing out on this. So we start out with bid category 7 for concrete, Burgess Concrete Construction. It's our low bid at $925,654, and a cost for alternate 3 of $12,089. That alternate 3 is for radiant heat in the floors. Category 8, polished concrete, Burgess Concrete Construction. It's a little bit clear at $533,552. Category 9, precast structural concrete, Fabcon. It's a low bid at $404,000. Category 10, masonry, Tracy Jar Incorporated is the low bid at $2,835,000. Bid category 11, metals, builder's iron. It's a low bid at $1,386,985. Bid category 12, general trades, hall builders is our low bid with a cost of $954,000. You'll notice that for alternate 4 and 5, they had zero cost, and they will perform that work under those 2 alternates at zero cost. Bid category 13 for metal wall panels. Wolverine enclosures is low at $329,600. Bid category 14, Great Lakes Systems is low at $618,656. Bid category 15 for joint sealants, Premier Caulking is low at $35,000. Bid category 16, doors, frames, and hardware, S.A. Morman and Company is low at $517,658. Bid category 17, overhead doors, partition systems is low at $37,650. Bid category 18, aluminum glass and glazing, reliable glass installers is low at $917,920, with alternate 4 being $65,770 and alternate 5 being $22,340. Bid category 19, lath, plaster, drywall, and acoustical, Sobey Company is low bid at $1,750,900. Bid category 20, painting, Ward Brothers Painting is low at $275,000. I am going to stop here. If you look below, our other 2 bidders came in much higher than Vort Brothers. Halligan Painting was at $487,000. H&H was at $544,000. We did spend a lot of time working with Vork, checking the numbers that they were carrying. So we had a takeoff done, extra takeoff done at OAK. Tower Pinkster also looked at it and did some takeoffs on it. We shared our numbers with the contractor, and the contractor felt comfortable with holding their bid. Bid category 21, flooring, Ritzma Associates. Base bid of $715,865. Another contractor where they had zero in for their alternates, but with the dollar amounts that we were looking at, recommend to proceed with that. Bid category 24 for signage, Universal Sign Systems is low at $35,987. Bid category 25, food service equipment, Great Lakes West, low at $254,650. Bid category 26, gymnasium equipment, Behrman and Associates is low at $52,020. Bid category 27, playground equipment, Playcraft Systems and Play Environments Design is low at $422,000. Bid category 28, window shades, Triangle Window Fashions is low at $35,446. Bid category 29, educational case goods, Custer is low at $539,703. Alternate 4, they have an ad of $1,612. We did have an adjustment, as them being the only bidder. We felt we could work with them on their performance bond costs, which they did not have included in their bid at $4,058. Bid category 30, elevator, Schindler Elevator Corporation is low at $92,000. Their bid is for a voluntary alternate product than what was specified, but with the savings that were shown there. And after reviewing the bid, we're recommending more to them. Bid category 31, fire protection, Grand Rapids Fire Protection. Base bid of $243,198. Bid category 32, DDC Controls. The first bid there from Control Solutions, that was a not specified installer. So we did read the bid, but we elected not to accept it to maintain your standard with ControlNet. So So we're recommending award to Control Net at $576,000 with an alternate 3 add of $46,900. Bid category 33, mechanical and plumbing, R.W. Lapine, is bid of $3,845,000. Alternate 3, $153,000. And then bid category 34, testing and balancing, control solutions, base bid of $15,800 with an alternate 3 of $850. Bid category 36 for electrical, high-tech electric, base bid of $2,435,000. Alternate 4 is an add of $3,500, and alternate 5 is an add of $1,500. Bid category 37 for audio-visual systems, Parkway Electric and Communications is low at $97,750. Category 30 clock systems, Sports View Television, low at $30,432. Bid category 39 public address systems, Sports View Television is low at $57,008. And bid category 40 structured cabling systems. The Kendra system, they had to drop their bid because they did not have a complete bid. So they dropped out, and we went to Parkway Electric and Communications at $180,067. And bid category 41, access control and intercom entry systems, high-tech electric is low at $26,300. Any questions?
Dan, I know you've addressed this in years past, but I forget that. So in some of these categories where we have one bidder,
yep.
How do you look at that? Do you kind of test it for reasonableness and have some additional steps that you go through?
So most of these where we have one bidder, it's really because you guys have specified one bidder or one set of products. So S.A. Moorman is typically your only bidder for doors, frames, and hardware because of your hardware system. Other bidders cannot meet your spec and be competitive, so they won't bid. Control Net for temperature controls is a single spec entity coming in. Custer for the educational case goods. That's a very special case. It's kind of like in between casework and furniture. And it's a single product, and that's the only distributor that would bid on it.
I find it amazing that playground equipment costs $422,000. I remember a long time ago when the PTO raised the money to build a playground at one of our elementary schools, and it was in the area of $20,000. So that just seems, wow. I'm old.
I remember the swing sets and the concrete barrels you'd go through, so.
This was all like the wooden structures, and the parents built the whole thing, and it was quite an amazing thing at that time, but times change.
This may be more for Johnny, but so now we've done the second building with a lot of the big packages. And is it too early for us to start asking kind of how we're looking toward budget? Are we a few months out from that, or just looking for any kind of, sense of how we're tracking? And
Yes, we are tracking both internally from a PPS end. Plant Moran is also tracking. OAK is also tracking. So we have 3 entities tracking these numbers. And so now that we have a larger portion of both buildings done, we're now better able to show where we are in relation to our design development budget. And then also to look at where we look at for overall total $175 million as well.
And my question may be a little premature, but at some point, kind of, having a look at and comparing us to the budget. But
absolutely,
I may be a little premature.
Yeah, we will certainly do that, and also the board will get ongoing budget updates throughout the project for both buildings. So that will occur. Also just want just to bring that because of this process of some of our savings in various categories, we were able to accept the alternates, radiant flooring, and I'm not the expert, but I can tell you from our facilities perspective, this has a substantial savings on our energy and also comfort during the school day. And then the alternates 4 and 5 was about the partitions and sliding partitions between classrooms or into the commons. This was an area at Haywardville that we listed as an alternate to see how our other pricing came in. So for all intents and purposes, their educational work within the commons will look more similar to Central, so we were able to take those alternates as well.
Oh, you might have been premature, but I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking.
Yeah, the classic trustee, yeah, worried about the performance to budget, so yeah.
I appreciate you going through the process again. I think it's good for the community to understand this process, and they can feel good that it's a thorough process, and a lot of review points and a lot of good people looking at these bids, and appreciate all the work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion on the Haverhill Bond Work construction contracts? Okay, then all in favor of approving the Haverhill Bond Work construction contracts, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes and the contracts are approved. This next action item is a great one. We have to approve the hiring of some new teachers, and is there a motion, please?
President Van Antwerp, I move that the Board of Education approve the appointment of the following teachers for Portage Public Schools. Hayden Alexander, shared time teacher. Madison DeMoore, Angling Road Elementary teacher. Kristen Kite, Angling Road Elementary teacher. April Dellinger, North Middle School Social Studies teacher. Danielle Whitaker, Lake Center Elementary ESI teacher. Lucas Trierweiler, Community High Science teacher. Mark Hageman, Haverhill Elementary music teacher. Audrey Cripps, Central Middle School ESI teacher. Aisha Laquette, Northern High science teacher. Ashley Everts, ECSE teacher. Sarah Lee, Northern High ESI teacher. Mary Catherine Miller, Amberley Elementary teacher. Courtney Wiersma, Community High teacher. Janice Brothers, Northern High teacher. Jordan Tubaro, Central Elementary teacher. Kristen Koval, Student Success Coordinator. Andrew Marvel, Central Middle School teacher. Suzanne Kiska, ESI Academic Support Specialist. Alvin Littell, Work-Based Learning and Transition Coordinator. Stephanie Johnson, School Psychologist. Jessica Benoit, Orchestra Teacher, West and North Middle Schools. Stacy Smith, West Middle School Math Science Teacher.
Thank you for offering that motion, Terry. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Keith. Brad?
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Belang. Thank you. As I warned you back in June when we brought our first batch, I would have yet another large batch coming here before the beginning of the school year, and have these 22 teachers before you to approve. Just a couple, I just want to point out a couple. Both Jordan Tubaro and Suzanne Kiska are actually returnees to our teaching ranks. So Jordan had moved to the other side of the state, but is now back. Not only is she back at the same school in the same grade, she's actually back at her same classroom that she left. So truly is coming home for her. And then Suzanne Kiska had stepped out of the teaching ranks, had done a couple of other things for us for a couple of years, but is now returning back to help our ESI folks and provide academic support across the district. And she has a skill set that is very excellent for that. So, but very excited about this group. Thank you to Trustee Snyder for joining us last week at our lunch for our new teachers as we had during their orientation last week. So it was a full room in here as we were set up for lots of people, and I will be coming back to you in September with a smaller list, but a list still the same, because I think even since we finalized this list, I believe I've added 3 new staff as we continue to get our last minute fills done. So,
How many have we hired so far, Brad?
Right now, I believe we are at 42, I believe.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. Any discussion, questions for Brad? Thank you, sir. All in favor of the new teacher appointments, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The new teacher appointments are approved. And now we have a new administrator appointment. There is a motion on page 57, please.
President Van Antwerp, make the motion that the Board of Education approve the appointment of Katie Webster as ESI Supervisor as presented.
Thank you, Keith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
All right, and as I promised again earlier this year, we were looking to add to our ESI support program. Remember, the Portage staff support not only Portage and ESI, but also Vicksburg and Schoolcraft. So pleased to bring forth to the board Ms. Katie Webster. Katie has been with us here in Portage since 2016, and mainly worked first as a speech language pathologist and then working as a coordinator within our early childhood special education area. So she brings a wealth of knowledge, not only from her time here in Portage, but her prior positions out of state in Illinois as well. So Katie will be primarily supporting Vicksburg, but I know Janine will have her pulled into various things here in Portage as well, especially gaining the knowledge that she's gained here. So we're excited to bring Katie in as an administrator, and be happy to answer any questions. And Katie is in the audience. Stand up for a minute, Katie, and she is here to
for the opportunity.
So, yeah, we're excited. And Katie's two boys are both Portage students. So, and she's also married to another school administrator in a district to our south that's getting ready to open a new building that's occupying a lot of his time, I see. So.
Well, thanks, Brad. Thanks, Katie, for being here tonight. Nice to meet you. Any discussion, questions? Okay, then, all in favor of appointing Katie Webster as ESI supervisor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Congratulations and welcome. Our next action item is to approve a partial district calendar.
So you have at your places a recommendation that the district approve a calendar that allows us to operate through October 2023. Which is within the framework of the 2023-24 school calendar, and it reflects the Board of Education's current school calendar proposal. As you know, we're in the middle of negotiations, and the school calendar is subject to negotiations, but the board has the right to establish a portion of that school calendar when it's necessary to do so, even though there's not a formal agreement at this point with the association. So what you have there is our opening first day of school, which is not subject to bargaining. The other dates are, and they're upon us here this week. September is, I don't believe there's any contention on any of these dates. So in any case, this is for your, a recommendation for your approval. So we can notify our families and our students and staff of what our dates are.
Would you mind reminding me of the times for the open houses, please?
I don't have those in front of me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Check your app.
Yeah, check your app, they're all on there.
Yes.
I know we start with tomorrow, I think, at the elementary level, and
5 to 6:30.
5 to 6:30, okay.
Thank you.
And middle school's after that, and then high school's Wednesday.
Same time.
Middle school's after, I think elementary, like it backs up, like 5 to 6:30, 6:30 to 8, I think, and then ours is 6:30 to 8.
Thank you.
Elementary 5 to 6:30 tomorrow, middle 6 to 7:30 tomorrow, high school 6:30 to 8 Wednesday. Fresh off the Portage PS.org.
Thank you.
Any comments or discussion around approving the partial district calendar?
If the contract is not negotiated for the end of this, like October 27th, is it possible to do another partial?
Yes. I think we found ourselves in this situation a few years back where the board approved the calendar. I don't know if we got into the second round of that, but yes, this is, we would do that a little bit at a time, 3 months at a time, or whatever we felt was necessary to really get us through that next period of time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay then, Bo, we need a motion.
I'll pick up the cue. This is the smallest motion we've ever had, and it's throwing me. So,
Turn to the next page, the one the handout. Yeah, there you go. Now you're set. Now you're set.
yeah, Mr. President, I move that we approve, what, Randy? This is totally throwing me. Mr. President, I move that the board approve the calendar placed before us tonight. That works for me. On this sheet. That works for me. Yeah, that'll bring us up to October 27th.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes and the calendar is approved through October, yes, okay. And now we're going to our first discussion item on page 60, and that is all about the MASB Delegate Assembly and Annual Leadership Conference. If you recall, we changed our bylaw to require board approval to attend these events, so we would be approving that at our next meeting. And I don't know if you've read it. I don't think there's a whole lot of discussion involved here. But I encourage anyone who can to certainly go. It's a good meeting, lots to learn there, and very helpful in board work. So we'll take that up at our next meeting. Okay. And finally, our next discussion item is the Northern High School CNC router purchase.
So thank you. My colleague, Dr. Michael Casper, will be joining me as well. I'll tee off this particular recommendation so you can have a little context of it. We recommend that the Board of Education approve the purchase of a CNC router in the amount of $76,280 from New CNC and approve an additional $5,500 to be used to hire a third-party company to install the new equipment at Portage Northern High School for a total amount of $81,780. The funds of which would come from the 2019 Bond Fund Proposal 1 unallocated contingency, and what you see there is a chart that displays the total cost for the machine, as well as an allowance for the installation. Dr. Pasco will talk a little bit more about the educational reasons for this particular purchase, then I'll talk about the bidding process at the end.
Thanks, Johnny. Good evening, Superintendent Beelang, trustees. So just curriculum-wise, the overall vision, it's in your packet here as well. It allows for students to learn transferable skills from woodworking, cabinet-making curriculum, could be used in industry, college, and in just life in general. Teaches students about opportunities in trades, degree programs, and construction industry that they'll learn, in training once graduated. So this is the CTE program. It's supported by KRESA currently until the new facility opens up. Then it will become something different. And Jeff's here. Thanks for being here too. He can add anything that I miss. But then we intend to transfer, it's called a SIP code that's attached to the course itself, and adopt that as a PPS offering and open it up to work-based learning as well as co-op. So this is exciting for us as we don't have enough of that in the district. This is a state-certified curriculum, includes CNC, millwork, machining, offers industry-recognized credentials to those that complete it. So Jeff and his team, they partner with local businesses, they aid in the development and implementation of the curriculum through an advisory panel. I know I don't want to speak for Jeff, but what I'm hearing particularly from Nate is that when Jeff talks to those in the field, there is a huge gap between the amount of kids that are being prepared for the vacancy of the spots that are in these trades, and they have a hard time employing qualified folks. So we're hoping through Jeff's program and through this class that we serve as more of a pipeline and a pathway for more of our students to get into these fields. And that would be wonderful if we start seeing that. So K-RISA, moving forward, they're going to focus more on commercial and residential construction. What Jeff and his students do, they do more architectural woodworking, furniture making, the foundational skills that someone would want entering the trades. So the CNC is computer numerical controlled woodworking, machining that teaches higher level thinking. So they get into design with computers, project management, before they ever get into the material handling, which I think is pretty cool. And then they do a lot of abstract concepts. So you see in here XY grid, plotting, points, measurement, conversions, fractions, geometry, cost analysis, and they do a lot of material research. And then the students learn communication, which is a good employability skill. They communicate with suppliers, they communicate with the community, they communicate with one another as they work to a common goal to complete a product in Jeff's class. But most importantly, according to Nate, and I'm sure Jeff will say the same thing, this course builds relationships. It's another one of those factors that brings kids into Northern every day. They're excited about it, just like some of the extracurricular reasons why folks come. So it's exciting. It's just one of those classes that kids have a passion for, and it brings them into the building on a daily basis. So we appreciate what's happened over the years and appreciate your consideration for the new machine. I know it's going to serve the program well, and we appreciate Jeff being part of the team and being part of Portage Northern to help facilitate the curriculum portion of things. So that's just mainly the curriculum end of things, and Johnny, I'll bring it back to you.
All right. Just in terms of bids, we received 4 bids. This was sent out through a formal bidding process, and for your reference, we've included those 4 companies along with their cost. The bid that we recommended was new CNC with the $76,280, and again, an allowance of $5,500 for the installation and the removal of the old CNC router. And we'd be happy to answer any questions about this particular recommendation.
Just a comment, over the years, I know that this class has been something that has just been an amazing experience for all kinds of kids. So you have IB kids taking this class, and you have other kids who are interested in woodworking as a long-term career, but it gives them skills, the leadership opportunities that I've seen put forward from this, and the fact that girls and boys are interested in something like this. I think it's fantastic, and that you have a teacher that's enthusiastic about it too, so that sometimes drives the train, but it's just been pretty amazing to watch this happen over the 20-plus years that I've been involved at Portage Northern. So, very cool.
Jeff took his time out today. I forgot to open it up. Jeff, anything you want to add that maybe I missed, or something that's essential you want to say?
Pretty much touched on everything. The one thing I will add, the company New CNC, they're up in Holland, so they're as local as you can get for a manufacturer. Mm-hmm. They've opened their doors to us throughout the course of the years that we've had their old machine that we have, to our students to come up and check out their facilities, do job shadows, and just be there for another slice of that pie of what kids do after high school. So,
thanks, Jeff.
What are we doing with the old machine?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. We're working with our business department to figure out the cost of. So we have a couple of things on the table. Some were telling us that reselling this old machine, you have to have the right person who really knows its value to actually use it. One of the vendors have proposed to do the install and removal for free, and then they would all essentially junk it. So there's a likelihood that we may not have to pay the $5,500, but it's that cost benefit of, do you go through the hassle of trying to sell it and you may not even get what you're asking for, versus taking the service for free in exchange for the equipment. But my understanding is the equipment is beyond its useful life cycle from a manufacturing standpoint.
Excellent. And then as far as what the students are going to be doing, just because I'm curious with what I get to work with my job, are they learning how to program the machine as well?
Yep.
Fantastic.
They do everything from maintenance on the machine, programming on the machine. So we start off with CAD software and learning how to draw a simple shape, and then they take it from there. And like I said when I spoke, they've created things like the seal that the governor had on her podium.
Awesome.
I'm glad we were able to find some money in unallocated contingency to buy this equipment, because this is a great program and we need to support it. I'm really excited about it. If it was up to me, I'd approve this thing tonight. I mean, Jeff's here. I don't know why we couldn't do that, you know.
I have a
We could do that.
Sure. I have a comment and a quick question. Comment, first of all, my mother's was in drafting for years. My sister taught drafting, both KVCC and at the high school level. My daughter's now a machinist. My younger daughter is also choosing to go into trades. I highly support this. This is awesome. My question is, what about the old machine needed replacing? You touched on it briefly. It's such that we need the new machine.
So the spindle, which is the motor that drives the bits, is not able to be replaced anymore.
That's a good reason.
Currently, in order to get the bit out of the machine, we've had to remove a panel off the spindle in order to access a pneumatic relay in order to allow the bit to be dropped out of the machine. So I'm putting my hands inside of that machine in a way that it's not designed to be used. And it's past the point where the manufacturer is supporting that maintenance on it. I've got an email from the manufacturer stating that, and it's just, you know, I'm doing Band-Aid fixes, you know, 90% of the time. So.
And that answered my curiosity perfectly. Thank you so much.
Would there be a motion to bring this item to action?
Yes. May I recover?
President Van Antwerp, I move that we move the Northern High School. Oh, you were going to say you didn't want to do it. I'm sorry. No, he wants to. I thought you said I want to be relieved of the responsibility. Go for it.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Ed move the purchase of the CNC router to an action item tonight.
Thank you, Bull. Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. The motion passes. The CNC router is now an action item. Is there a motion, please?
Okay, I get this one too?
Sure.
I'll take it. Thanks, Randy. Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of a CNC router in the amount of $76,280 from New CNC and approve $5,500 to be used to hire a third-party company to install the new equipment at Portage Northern High School for a total amount of $81,780, the funds for which will come from the 2019 Bond Fund Proposal 1 unallocated contingent.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. All in favor of purchasing the new CNC router, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes and the router's on the way.
When might it be available to the students?
I think the company said they had it in stock, and we were looking at probably at least a 4-week turnaround.
That's amazing. That's great.
So
Proving this tonight helps expedite.
Yeah,
So, that's great, we appreciate that.
Especially with his description of what he's doing. Yes.
Absolutely.
To give you an idea of how well this company works with our students, when it is installed and ready to go, they're coming down and giving us 3 days of training with students rather than just, you know, me going up there or watching a video.
So that's awesome.
Very good.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it. Thanks, Jeff, too.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, our next discussion item is the Central Elementary Educational Case Goods.
In our last recommendation, Dan kind of explained what educational case good encompasses. As he talked about, it's a mixture of furniture and cabinetry. So I recommend that the Board of Education authorize OAK to issue a notice of pending award in the amount of $709,835 to Custer for educational case goods for Central Elementary, pending confirmation that all requirements of the contract documents have been met. Furthermore, upon receipt by OAK of the appropriate documentation, the contract would be awarded to Custer by Portage Public Schools. Funds will come from the 2021 bond. This recommendation is a continuation of the construction-related items at Central Elementary. Educational case goods include storage units, sliding marking boards for the teaching wall, reconfigurable storage, cabinetry, and other related countertops for the learning studios or classrooms. Due to the customization of the furniture and casework, Custer was the only vendor to bid on the work. And Dan or I would be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions? None, thank you. Our last discussion item tonight is the food service van purchase.
Good evening, Board of Ed and Superintendent Beeling. It's not very often at the end of the agenda. Tonight I bring to you a recommendation that we purchase a 2023 T350 Ford Transit all-wheel drive van from Hoekstra Transportation in the amount of $72,695. If you will recall, during my budget hearing, I touched on the fact that our food service fund balance is at an excess level and we've had to implement a spend down plan. This purchase is part of that planned spend down plan. This van would be used to help us get things to our 6 satellite elementary locations. It'll also be used during our summer food service program. And in times when we don't need to take the big box truck out for food service, it's going to be more fuel efficient that way. So Hoekstra was the only bidder. We did go through a sealed bid process, and Hoekstra was the only company that did bid on this purchase. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have, or I can relay them to Susan if I'm unable to answer them.
What's the disposition of the existing van? Is it, we getting rid of that one, or will there a supplement?
We don't have one.
Have one at all like this.
We don't have one like this.
We have a larger panel, I don't know if you call it a panel truck or what, with a lift gate that moves our equipment around, food around.
Any other questions about the food service van purchase?
I was curious about the delivery date in June. Is
Next year.
there a reason, or what's?
I know that this is the second time we went out for bid for this item, and nobody bid on it the first time through. So I believe that suppliers are having a hard time meeting demand. I was not the person that was spearheading this process, so I'm the presenter tonight.
But that is.
Ask a question like that, I'm sorry.
It is just a situation with all kinds of autos, charging way over sticker price for things, waiting unbelievable amounts of time for delivery, so it just is sad but true.
Thank you, Paula. Okay, we've reached the end of our agenda. Please turn in your evaluation forms. Thank you, and we are adjourned.
You know, he started there, and he didn't finish. But he's got a.
See you later.